this is JJ from Once Somerville. Thanks so much for being here. It's great to see you. What you're about to enjoy is some special content created just for you by the Once family. We appreciate the time that the artists have given, and we've put a link to their tip jar in the comments below. We've also put a link there to our GoFundMe. This is one of the ways that we're going to get through this time until we can be open and together again. Art and community are our priorities here at Once. We really miss you, and we can't wait until we can all be back together. Until then, this is our way of holding our community close and continuing to make art. So, before you enjoy the show, a couple of notes. The bathrooms are in the back. On the left, no flash photography, and as always, no crowd surfing. Enjoy. We'll see you soon.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Bradley J. Hi, greetings, and welcome to Let's Get Critical.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Excellent. Everything working right?
Cool. I think it's good.
Good.
I think it's good.
Good.
I suppose if it's not, someone will tell us.
Good.
But as far as I can tell, everything's good. And so far, it's not raining on me. So we'll see how long that lasts. Welcome.
Thanks.
It's
good
nice
to be here.
To see ya.
It's weird
Yeah.
to be, it's very interesting to be interviewed. I don't know if I have ever been interviewed before.
Have you not?
I don't know.
Especially exciting.
I can't remember a time when I was interviewed.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I hadn't told you this yet, and I haven't had a chance to, of course, to introduce you or anything yet, but I'm going to jump right in with this, which is that in many ways, this series is actually was actually born of a conversation that you and I had. And so I have actually wanted, you were sort of my motivation for it. So I'm excited to have you because it was very much born of a time that we were talking, and I was thinking about how you have so many amazing, amazing stories, and you are a terrific interviewer. You ask great questions, you lead a terrific interview, but you also tell great stories, and I love to listen to them. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if somebody was, we could have a whole show just asking you questions, because you're fascinating and wonderful.
I do have stories, and I love to tell them, and I've told them a million times, and I have lots of detail.
So I like to start this conversation with putting a little ground. That's not the right word. A little home base groundwork under your roots, under your history, and where you started, and kind of what was there an aha moment around? I don't know, the first time you heard your voice on the radio. So let's start a little backing up a little bit though, and where are you from? Where are you from, Bradley J?
Well, you want me to give you my sort of radio history?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where were you born?
I was born in New Hampshire, and I became a surgical technician right after high school. When I was 17, I was elbow deep in people, and literally elbow deep in people. Did that 3 years, and then I went to visit someone in actual college, like bachelor college, and they didn't really work. They just had fun. So I did that. I said, I want to go to college. The school I went to was just operating room technician school. So I went to University of New Hampshire. And after being there a couple of years, I met this guy named Theo Metropolis, who's actually friends with Mike Nikitas, who went on to be a Boston news guy at NECN. Anyway, Theo said, you should be on the radio. I said, whatever. But it was summertime and there was nothing going on, so I made an audition tape. It took forever to figure it out, and I was on WUNH, the free waves, and I just loved it. Because you have access to all the new music. Record companies are sending new music, and you get to choose and turn people on to cool music and discard the junk. At least that's the way it was back in the day. Then
So
go ahead.
I love this. I love that your passion is born of turning other people on to music.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. There's a little bit of a like eat honey kind of grandmothery thing here. That
Well, yes. I say,
yeah,
stop listening to that.
nurture.
Listen to this, you idiot.
Yeah, you
Kind
could have
of
been a
thing.
caterer. You're feeding people. Okay, go on.
And then moved to Boston, worked at TGI Fridays. At TGI Fridays, it was a cool place then. And there were people,
Newbury Street.
yeah, it was a hotbed of college radio people. And somebody who worked in the kitchen said, you know, you should talk to my friends who work at WZBC. I did. And I started working at ZBC and loving that. And then the next step was WLYN, which became WFNX. I worked at WLYN before it became FNX. So working simultaneously at ZBC and FNX, and then sending tapes. Once you're in Boston and you're in the scene, you go to gigs, you're mingling with the real program directors like Oedipus. And they come to know you, and I send him tapes, and they were all terrible. But finally, one day he called and said, so, when are you going to come do a show? And of course, I was over the moon.
Right now, right now.
And my thing became the interviewer. I became the interviewer. Though there was another guy who was an interviewer as well, but that was after they started slowly choosing the music and taking that away. All I kind of had left was interviewing the artists, and I enjoyed that. I would do it in the
What
studio.
year?
I'd go to the venues and interview people in tour buses, and it became
So
my thing.
I need a place in time right now. What year did you go to LYN?
LYN, like 1980, 81.
Okay.
And
And
then,
then they became FNX.
yeah. Then I left there about 80. I started at BCN on December 18, 1981, I think.
Uh-huh.
And so then I stopped LYN. But
How
I
did
didn't really-
how did you come to BCN? That was Oedipus said, get over here.
I sent tapes, you know, we knew everybody in the scene. I knew Alberto, he was working there. You get to know, it was a small and excellent scene, and everybody in
Yes.
bands knew everybody, and all the DJs knew everybody. The college radio people would have parties together. It wasn't really very competitive. It was more friendly. It was a big scene. And so finally, when they needed somebody at BCN, I was, you know, always banging on the door and trying to get better, and I was persistent, and it paid off. So
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
80,
81.
80, yeah, call it the beginning of 82.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And you were the interviewer, and did you go when you started at BCN, was it right out of the gate you started doing interviews?
No.
You were all
Good question. No, that didn't happen till, I would say, the mid 90s, when I
it's a long stretch.
started, yeah, when I started doing the midday. It really started when I interviewed Shirley Manson at the Orpheum. I just loved it and decided that was going to be my thing. And from that point on, especially when I did the midday, artists would come in. It became a thing that they were kind of expected to come in and do an unplugged set, like Elvis Costello and Tori Amos and Cake, for big bands, little bands, weird bands. They all came in. Moby came in for a nice interview. I can't really remember them all, but no, it wasn't right out of the gate.
Who was when you think about like people that you expected to be, maybe you had some expectation, who really threw you, who surprised you?
You mean either I thought they were going to be great and they weren't, or
Sure.
vice versa? Either way. Well,
Yeah.
I guess. Well, the surprise was how friendly and generous Bowie is. He's of course, he's going to be excellent, but he's my guy, so I'm scared out of my mind. I'm freaking out. There was a
Where was that? Where were you doing an interview with Bowie? Was
first-
that for BCN?
Yeah, that was 90.
Uh-huh.
The first, I, I think the first one was at Fort Apache when he came in with Reeves Gabrels and did uh, four, 3 or 4 songs acoustically, and we had 100 listeners attend, and I was the moderator, and I got to MC for him. I mean, introduce him.
Fantastic. So
So it's really,
exciting.
I will tell you this, and you probably know this: the most stressful time is not the interview, but when you are meet up with the artist or whoever it is, and you're waiting to go on stage, or you're waiting to go live, and you have to make a bunch of small talk. It's the small talk that's hard. But Bowie knew that, and so what he did was start poking fun at Reeves Gabrels, saying he used to be a good guitar player, saying stuff just to break the tension. He's really he understands the effect he has on people, and he tries to mitigate that with friendliness.
It's awesome.
So I guess I was surprised by how generous he was and how he made it easy.
I think everybody who loves him would be happy to know that.
Oh yeah.
And who doesn't?
He's not disappointing in any way ever.
It's
he's
so
the
great.
man.
That is so great. That's very, very cool. All right, so we're at BCN,
Yeah.
and you're doing a day show, and
Yeah.
you've started doing more interviews. How much autonomy did they give you?
Oh, on who to interview, they just said so and so's coming in, interview them. So it was worked out with the record companies and stuff, which was fine because I didn't.
So they told you who you were going to interview. Did you ever tell them that you wanted to do something?
No, not interview wise. No, I just.
Did you know the bands and the people they were asking you to interview? Did you recognize the names? You knew them from having played them on air?
Yeah, but of course I had to do research because I am Mr. Research. That's part of my thing. Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
All right.
Where do you start? Before you could just put somebody's name in a machine.
Well, I mean, the research is kind of ongoing because when you play them on the radio, you have to say something about them each time you play them. So there's so and so. He used to be in so and so band, and his apartment was robbed, and so you have collected a bunch of stuff, and you try to remember that, and I can't even remember how things got researched back in the day. You would, the back of the album cover, but mostly I care about the day. I want to know about a day in their life. That's always what I wanted to know. I didn't care why they wrote that song. I didn't care where they got their name. I would never ask where's your name come from, and I'll explain why later. But I was always interested.
I want to know why.
Right now?
But we'll come back to it if
right.
you want to.
I want to know what the daily life is like. When you get up, do you have a headache? Are you hungover? Do you get to see any of do you have fights with your band members on the bus? Who's on the bus? Is the bathroom dirty in the bus? And I would always try to be cognizant of the fact that they get interviewed every day by idiots. And I didn't want to ask the same old idiot questions they get asked every day. I wanted to be, I try to put myself as a peer group member rather than as a fanboy or a radio boy. I wanted to come from a place of, okay, they're on the tour bus, they eat junky food, that I wanted to ask them about that, like that kind of day-to-day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big part of.
And why do you never ask a band where their name came from?
Because you know what? A lot of times they don't even know. And they like you too. They'll give you 4 different reasons because they really don't even know.
It just doesn't make a good story.
A lot of times they don't like their band name. They regret it. Like 10,000 Maniacs. What a stupid name. Or Presidents of the United States of America. Really? You had to live with that name. You should have been more careful choosing a name. And I think it's a crutch question that rookies ask. Where'd you get the name of the band?
Now I'm feeling really insecure.
Okay.
I'm going to ask crutch
rookie questions. I'm going to ask you crutch rookie questions.
I want to talk about Woodstock '99.
Okay.
I want to hear your. I know you wanted to tell me something, and I was like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. All right. So we're talking about process. I think a lot about process. It's a photographer. I think a lot about process. And I'm always really interested in how people process. My questions tend to lead in that direction. So I said something about process, and you said, "Oh, I've got a couple of good examples of process." So, but I said, "Hold on."
Yeah.
Well, you did. We said, "Hold on. Let's talk about that." So, would you share with me what you were thinking about when you said that?
Yes. Okay. So Woodstock '99, I think there were about 50 bands, and the setup was that they had radio stations, New York, LA, interviewers from all over, and we were each going to get assigned about 7 of them. But you never know. The S hits the fan all the time. So I went early. I went on Tuesday, and it didn't start till Friday. And I just stayed in the food tent for 3 days preparing. I even had a
Were there a
producer,
lot of people around?
like crew, people setting stuff up. There were no
No artists.
concert goers or anything.
No.
So back to the whole process. Like with any performance, and an interview is a performance, you always will do better if you're relaxed. Any musician will tell you, you're relaxed, you're going to be way better. So the way I relax is to know in my heart that I am extremely prepared. So I will type up a gazillion questions, and may not ever use them, but I know that I am prepared, and that worst case scenario, I can just look at a question on the paper and ask them. So I'm completely relaxed. And hopefully, being relaxed and speaking to them like a peer group member, I will never need the questions on the paper. But the fact that I know they're there makes me relaxed, and I just do a better job. And also, if you're an interviewer and you're around people watching your process and they see you preparing and taking it seriously, I think that they're going to be more likely to use you. And this was the case there. There were other interviewers from other stations who were unprepared. And I prepared for, and this is bragging, I get it, I'm bragging, but it's a case of preparation helping out. I think Alanis Morissette first. By the way, that didn't go well. I didn't like her, and she didn't like me. I'm a dude,
You can't win on that one. It sounds
No,
like.
you cannot win on Alanis.
But you
Morissette.
didn't like her. Was that because she didn't like you?
Correct. I
She
wanted
came
to
at ya?
like her. I wanted to be your pal. But I must, I was coming from a deficit on that one. I did a couple of interviews, and then some other interviewers gave the producers a hard time, and they just go, "Can you do this one?" And I go, "Yep," because I'd prepared for all of them, and I ended up doing 21 instead of 7. So yeah, it's
Wow.
bragging, but
In how many days?
3. So
3
7,
days. 20 was 7 a day.
7 a day.
That's a lot of interviews. Were you recording?
No, it was in the MTV tent, actually. It was while everyone else was sweating and playing in excrement water and getting ripped
Yeah.
off in the heat. I was fortunate because this was in the MTV tent. It had a video set up and props and stuff. It had a huge air conditioner, and it had a keg of beer. And so one
That was
interview,
the place to be.
it was paradise. It did an interview, and then pound of beer, and then, can you do Elvis Costello? Yes. Can you do Willie Nelson? Yes. Bang, bang, bang. And there was
And
another
so-
wrinkle. Go ahead.
Wait, so in this case, who are you interviewing for?
It was for.
It was for
Westwood
BCN?
One. Westwood One.
Oh, it wasn't for BCN.
I was representing BCN, but a lot of radio stations were there interviewing people for Westwood One radio network.
Was that like a satellite thing?
But back then, it was, I don't know if you call it syndicated or satellite or something, but they would produce big shows and probably syndicated out. I don't know if syndication's the word, but a lot of people were doing. A lot of radio stations had personnel doing interviews for them.
Okay. And 21 interviews in 3 days.
Yep.
What's the hardest? What kind of roadblocks do you start to hit when you're doing that many interviews in 3 days?
Actually, you get on a roll. You get feeling loose and good and confident. Bring it on. There's nothing you can't do. Then your joints, your brain is oiled up and ready to go. And you have one beer, the perfect amount of beer. So you're loose and you're having fun. It was Parliament Funkadelic with the whole crew, Bootsy Collins and everything. And they started doing some sort of weird a cappella thing out of the blue. And,
awesome.
Limp Bizkit, you had to do Limp Bizkit, but there was Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, Willie Nelson, Fatboy Slim, and I can't remember all of them.
Yeah. And then you also evoked another festival.
Oh yeah,
we were talking about the Grammys. So what were you doing at the Grammys?
How did that happen?
The Grammys. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the producer.
What were you doing at the Grammys?
The producer of the Westwood One Woodstock '99 thing. I got to kind of know, and one day I was at the gym on the treadmill, and I thought I knew she was producer of the Grammys for Grammy.com and maybe other people. And I called her up and said, hey, remember me? I did a lot of interviews for you at Woodstock. Do you need an interviewer at the Grammys? And she said, I don't know. Let me call you back. And in 20 minutes, she called back and said, do you own a tux? Because you're going to the Grammys. So there was that.
Wow. What year was that?
That was the 3 years prior to 9/11. So I got probably in between 99, 2000, 2001 in there.
Who was the big standout name that year at the Grammys?
Well, the biggest name. Well, Willie Nelson again. Beyonce, when she was with Destiny's Child. See, there were two portions, three portions of it. One was on the red carpet. One was you get there early because they can't do a whole Grammy show live because there's just not enough material.
Right.
You'd be like, what do we do now? So what they do is they put out a message to Hollywood and everybody. If you want some FaceTime on the Grammy broadcast, come in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll tape an interview with you, and maybe we'll air it on our program, maybe not. So I had to be there early. And this was challenging because there's no prep time and no internet at the time, really. I mean, I guess there was, but not like now. So you'd just be sitting around with maybe 3 or 4 other interviewers, and somebody would walk through the door, and they'd go, Bradley, can you interview Lemmy? With no prep. You just had to go over there and not...
Just whoever walked in to have an interview done.
And a lot of people were TV people that
Sounds a little bit like that mall portrait thing where you just walk in and they take your portrait at the mall.
I guess so. But it was
Sorry.
very stressful. It was very stressful because I didn't know some of the people. You had to interview people you didn't even know. Stacy Keach, I know him kind of, but what the heck do I ask Stacy Keach? You know, you just got to...
So what did you ask?
I can't remember.
What would you ask?
Well,
do you have like hip pocket questions? Come on, tell me what they are so I know.
Actually, I don't have them, but I did have a book of all the good questions that I ever asked. I saved them. So I did have a book.
Where is it?
Not for TV people. I mean, for TV people, this guy's a has-been. He's coming to get some FaceTime.
Right.
So, of course, the small talk, they all want you to ask them about what their thing is now, because they're there to promote something
What are
going
you
on.
working on?
Yeah. So hey, hey, what's up? Grammys. Yeah, 'cause I never asked anybody what they're wearing, even on the red carpet. Oh, actually, I did, and I regret
Really?
that. So the other,
Who did you ask? Please tell me it was
I was
Lemmy.
Beyonce actually,
Ugh.
and so it's weird on the red carpet. It's like a fame meat market, a market of fame, because there are people coming down the red carpet of all levels of fame. Little bitty, hardly known, and then huge. If you're an interviewer, you don't want to get tied up with some teeny one and have some huge one walk by. So their handlers will come by. Who wants to talk to Gary Coleman? Who wants to talk to Gary Coleman? People are like, and looking to see if there's anybody really famous coming down the way. And if you don't see anybody, you may, I talked to Gary a little bit. And you just ask him some really dumb questions. I mean, it's really hard to have some substantive interview unless like it's Willie Nelson. The people with a history, you probably just know some stuff about him. I know he's likes to golf, so I ask him about his golf game, and he lights up. And so nobody wants to interview someone that's not very famous at the risk of missing somebody huge. So it's this fame market, and it's kind of embarrassing for the people who are not that famous, because their handlers are coming. Who wants to talk to so and so? And this was a time when Fred Durst was big, and he came and everyone cheered, and I was so bummed out that everyone cheered for him, because I was not a fan.
Oh, right.
And so the big ones, I guess, Willie Nelson, and I think Susan Tedeschi was with him, Beyonce, Durst was big at the time. And then there's a third kind of interview where they do a thing called the pre-tells, which are awards you get before the TV goes on. There's awards for stuff nobody cares about.
Right. There's tons of them.
So they just
tons
go,
of them.
and the award for blah, 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 yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Title
They just
cards.
come and get it. Like Steely Dan, they won some award, some small award. So they get their award, and then as soon as they would get their award, they come backstage to get a little interview. And I don't even know these people, and it's on TV. So they just hold up a card and say, so-and-so, and the name of the person, the name of the award, and you have to ask a couple questions and not sound like a total tool. That was the most stressful thing ever.
But it's live on TV?
No, it's being recorded. It's not live.
Oh, okay. All right.
But,
the
people who hired you are looking at you not to be an idiot. And so...
Right.
And
how did you do?
And they're lined up. They're lined up, ready to, like, bang, bang, bang. The line was probably 10 deep. And you see, that's Steely Dan back there. They want me to hurry up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was stressful. I've been talking a lot. I haven't let you talk, so you go ahead and talk.
No. This isn't about me. See, this is where you're used to being the person that is asking the questions. But in this case...
It's weird, I'll tell you.
I was going to ask, is it weird? Because something that I know about you from wonderful experiences is that you did a late night talk show after BCN.
Yeah.
You went to
WBZ.
It was BZ.
Yeah.
And did a late night talk show for how long?
Full-time
how many
6
years?
Full-time 6.
6 years.
Yeah.
From midnight?
Midnight to 5.
To 5. I was on that show a couple of times, and
yes.
It was really fun. It was really, really, really fun. I love that show. And I was always really impressed with how you can keep an interview rolling. It's like what you were talking about before, that you get into this like roll and then you can just keep going and going and going. And you're really good at drawing that stuff out. But is it strange to be on the other side of it?
It is. I have to remember that I don't have to do anything. I can just answer the questions. I still feel
Please answer the
like
question.
it's my responsibility, and it really isn't. It's yours, and it's difficult
I
to
feel very on
let
the
that
spot,
go.
Bradley. I feel very on the spot right now.
Good, good,
I
good.
feel like it's just like I'm right under your thumb. Uh-oh. Now I'm just gonna
Anything?
like,
One thing to add is it's important to interview people that you genuinely care about what they have to say. So I got to book all the guests there, 100%. I had all the say. So I only cared about people that I was interested in what they had to say.
yep,
So it was easy to
yep,
interview them. I just asked them stuff I wanted to know about.
right. So I
And
want to know about what one of the things about you that differentiates you a little bit maybe is that you actually make music as well, and you make really interesting music. I've had the honor of being allowed to hear some of it, and I wanted to ask you, how is that going during the pandemic? Have you been making music?
I
And I
haven't.
know you do a lot on your own, right?
You know how it is. You got to be motivated, and I haven't been motivated, but I have been motivated to try to get half decent at the guitar. So I've been just playing the guitar for now. But I, I need to produce. I need to make something, and I'm kind of in a rut because my speaking and process was a lot of people start from a melody, like I'm guessing Paul McCartney, but not me because I come from a sort of 9-inch nail sensibility, so I'll be making the beats and the bass and the rhythm section first, and then whatever tiny melody on top of that. So my songs are not melodic, and I'm got to switch that around. I got to learn to do it in the reverse way, and I'm having a hard time to do that. Melody is difficult for me, so that's my challenge.
Hmm. But you've been doing interviews. You did when what happened? What happened exactly when the pandemic started? What was the sequence of events with the station?
Well, I wasn't there. I was released just before the pandemic, like a month. So I didn't see any of that. I don't know how they dealt with it at all.
And so you weren't doing interviews, and then the pandemic started, but you're doing interviews now.
Yeah. So I just stopped doing everything for a month to figure out what to do. And then I was, I didn't even know about Zoom until
Yeah.
I, I wanted to interview a guy who is he makes CBD and he's in Israel. And I had to learn to do Zoom to do that. And then I met another guy named Adam Belmar who's in DC who is really good at this kind of thing, podcast and Zoom. And he really helped me a lot with getting my sound good, learning about the virtual backgrounds. I really wanted to embrace it and have it be a fun thing because it's all I have. So I wanted to
So
make the most of it.
if it weren't for the pandemic, do you think that you would have found the tools to get online and do interviews?
No. Good question. And the answer is no. I wouldn't. It forced me to do it. And so I am thankful for that. And it allows me to continue to do interviews with many of the same guests that I had on the radio show in the same exact way with the same exact chemistry, including a lawyer, a car guy, an astrologer, history guys. It's personally rewarding for me.
But in some ways, it's even more open, right? Because you can grab people all over the world.
That's right. Well, yes. I also did international interviews before, but it was a little more difficult because somebody had to pay for the call. Oh, and of course, this is visual, and the other that was not visual. So, in many ways, well, in a few ways, the Zoom thing is better because it's like TV. It
Hmm.
is, in fact, is TV, and a lot of what you see on TV is people on Zoom. So it's a big leveler.
Hmm.
It gives me a lot of
Yeah.
power, and it gives me more power, and it kind of diminishes the power of the heavies because they're all squashed down to being on Zoom just like me. Like Bill Maher, for example. He, the quality of his broadcast is no better than yours or mine. It's kind of a great equalizer. So it's all about, it's kind of all about you and not the support system. They don't have the cameramen and the camera persons and the support. So if someone's a go-getter like yourself, it's a good thing.
And do you like the freedom of being able to do an interview that isn't in the middle of the night?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I must admit that 5 hours in the nighttime was not the healthiest thing. You know, you get up, take the orange line home with the light in your eyes, and try to get some sleep in the day, and get zero sun, zero vitamin D, isolated. It was good to be at work and have no other people there. I had the place to myself. But other than that, working overnight is probably unhealthy. You hear about these studies where they kept monkeys up all night and they didn't live as long.
Right.
I can see why that would be true. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go on. I want to hear what you say.
There's something unhealthy about it. I'd rather get up really early in the morning than do the overnight thing. The overnight thing, I would do it if I had to again. I would do it if asked again in the right circumstances. Probably not 5 hours though, because 5 hours is an inhuman amount of time to do a talk show. Even my bosses in the past would say, 5 hours is insane. It's too much, but you have to do it. It was good boot camp.
Why did you have to do it? Why did they make you do it?
I guess it's just, to break it up into 2 hours and 3 hours or something, they have to hire another whole person. I don't really know why, but that was the gig. And so, and it has been the gig it was the gig for a long time before that.
Who did you inherit it from?
Steve Lavelli, the Steve Lavelli broadcast. And
did you change it a lot?
Did I change it a lot?
Yeah.
I just have a different demeanor than Steve. And, I would have, I'm sure, different musical taste. My background music was way different. And my speaking pattern is way different. My choice of words is way different.
I mean, you really came out of a music radio background. Music. And you went into interviewing people that weren't necessarily in music.
Right.
All different kinds of topics. And I remember you telling me when I came on that you liked to interview people so that you could ask them about things you were interested in,
That's
not
right.
necessarily because they were music. And I love that you just said that, because that really has stuck with me right out of the gate with you, is that you're interested in digging into people. And
I got to tell you, when it comes to music people, frankly, a lot of them have nothing to say. And it's pulling teeth trying to get anything interesting out of them. They're just some band. They're grinding it out because they have a first album. They're in a van or something. They get up early. They come see you. They've talked to somebody over and over. Like, what's really going on here? Well, we don't really want a job. We want to make a living playing music because it's fun. And yeah, we drank some beer and we had a good gig and we got a new album coming out. But we really don't have a whole lot to say other than that.
Right.
And so, that's...
right. I wrote a song about my girlfriend.
Yeah.
We're on the road.
After a while, unless you have somebody that's really cerebral, like a Elvis Costello or a Tom Morello or a David Bowie or even Moby. Moby's interesting. Guys that were producers like Chemical Brothers and Moby were helpful to me because Moby is like a bedroom producer. He started out as a bedroom producer, and that's what I do too. I got my own little home studio. So basically, I was getting to ask Moby how to do it. I say, all right, Moby, what's if there's one thing you want to tell the home producer, what is it? He's like, the bass. You got to keep the bass tight. You got to keep the bass compressed. It's like, okay, dude, I'm compressing the bass from now
I
on.
will from now on. So now I want to ask you, what is the thing? What should I do as an interviewer? What is the thing that I should be doing in my interviews? So I heard you say have lots and lots of questions ready to go.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
put, I
What's the
think,
ticket?
put yourself in their place and realize that they've been asked a lot of questions a billion times, and you don't want to be that person to ask it a billion and one times.
Right?
I would avoid the questions you think they get asked all the time. And, put yourself in what is their lifestyle like and what are their challenges like? What do you miss being on the road? What do you not get to have? What are you sick of on the road?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. And you don't get a lot of points for interviewing them for a long time either. Quality over quantity.
Sure. They always say leave them wanting more, right?
That's a very good. Yes, that was what Oedipus used to say all the time. Leave them wanting more. That's right.
Leave them wanting more. Less is more.
And a lot of
Yeah.
times they would perform in the studio, and of course, that's good because musicians usually most of what they have to say is said musically. They really don't have a lot to say other than that, and it's kind of like pulling teeth. So if you can get them to play, the more you can get them to play, the better off you are. Couple questions, they play a song. Couple questions, play a song.
So, how you asked me a question and I sort of dodged it. Thinking about what's going on now with music and performance, and how are you feeling? Are you watching what people are doing, performances people are doing virtually? Have you been tuning into some of that stuff?
I have not done. I have not done that very much. I have had people perform, as you know.
On your show? Yep. I
Yeah,
saw a terrific performance on your show. Very, very good.
And I,
A guitar player.
oh, the classical guitar player,
And his name was, please?
Aaron Kaplan.
Terrific. Terrific. Totally worth looking up. Kaplan with a K?
C.
C. Terrific
It's
guitar player.
Aaron. He'd
Uh-huh.
probably be a guest with you. Aaron.
Is he an interviewer?
Is he a good interviewer?
Yeah.
Well, you mean interviewee?
No. I'm
He
looking
didn't
for people
interview
like
me.
you, my friend.
I interviewed him.
Okay. You interview him. I'm interviewing you.
You are a good interviewer, yes. Is that your is that your question?
No.
Aaron Large Kaplan is his name.
He's terrific. So I totally just wanted you to say his name because I think, anybody watching, it's definitely worth looking him up. So you've done some performances, but you haven't watched. I guess what I'm getting to is, how are you feeling about this as somebody who is a longtime supporter of music, longtime lover of music? I know how I'm feeling about it, but we're not talking about me.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know from where you are, because you are so, you're so historical and so involved. You're so involved with the continuum. So I was curious how you're feeling about how people are managing this.
Well, first, I'm on Zoom myself so much that I try to get away from it, but I do cruise around, and I kind of I'm into watching performances of UK bands, like post-punk bands from the 80s. That's my thing now. I watch old Gang of Four footage, Flock of Seagulls, Lena Lovitch, Nash the Slash, Cure.
And this is stuff you're finding, like you're sitting on YouTube and it's feeding you videos.
Yeah, and I also try to play the guitar along with my heroes, which is kind of fun.
I think I heard somewhere that people aren't listening to new music; they're listening to the music of their, like, to comfort music. The same way that they're eating comfort food, they're listening to comfort music.
Eat macaroni and cheese and listen to
Eat
Fleetwood
macaroni and
Mac.
cheese, everybody.
Fleetwood
Mac
Mac.
and Mac.
Right, you
Have a
are
Mac and Mac.
you make the best, as I understand it, macaroni and cheese in the land.
I make some pretty bomb macaroni and cheese. It's pretty good stuff. It's all about the cheese. There's a lot of cheese in my mac and cheese.
So to answer your question, I'm into the seeing old post-punk, Echo and the Bunnymen, Teardrop Explodes, all that stuff. Because a lot of times I've never seen those videos.
Hmm.
That's where I'm at musically.
And now you've got time.
Yeah.
So would you have been watching those videos after leaving DZ? Would you have been watching those videos if it weren't for the pandemic? What do you think you would have been doing? What were you going to do? So you had a month, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything's closed, and there you are, and everybody's out of work. But what if that,
Yeah.
what were you going to do? What were you planning?
Well, to travel.
Mm-hmm.
My traveling's my thing. I was all excited. It's kind of my reason to get up in the morning, and it took that away. I can't do it. It's bumming me out.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to find local, exciting things to do.
Mm-hmm.
You got to look, as you know, in the nooks and crannies, find new things that you have overlooked all your life because you were doing bigger things. You got to stop playing small ball.
Mm-hmm.
Find a nice park.
And you have to do it in your own backyard.
Yeah, or in some open space.
Mm-hmm. So
One
you
thing
like to walk.
I do not in the summer though. I don't like summer. It's too hot. I just hunker down.
Uh-huh.
And here's the problem is I have no destination. I need a destination.
Because you would walk to work.
I would walk partway to work. I'd walk downtown from Brookline. I would walk. My big one was walking to Sligo in Davis Square from Brookline, which is a hump.
It is a hump.
But now there's no reason to go there. And plus, I can't take the T back, so that would be like 10 miles.
Right.
I've only been on the
Right.
T twice in 6 months.
Yeah, I also feel very nervous about the tea.
So the thing,
But I feel nervous. I'm nervous about everything. Are you nervous?
moderately nervous.
Moderately
I mean,
nervous?
I'm nervous about stupid stuff, and I'm nervous about the important things.
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
inappropriately nervous.
That's like a defense system, right?
Yes. Back to music though, and how it
Okay, yes.
figures in here. I have to start meeting up with people like you in people's backyards to have a beer and listen to some tunes and try to recreate everything that I liked about going to a bar without the bar. I'm a one-on-one person, or very few, so a backyard, a picnic table, social distancing, some of my favorite tunes, a beer, conversation. I need to start finding that situation more. And what's the
I
word?
like it. Well, you
Trying
are.
to grow that situation. And as people can see, your backyard is the perfect place. I have been there once. And
You are welcome in my backyard.
well, we need to do what I'm describing in the backyard.
With music. Yes,
Beer,
we
music.
need to add music.
Beer,
So-
music, talk. And so you basically have an outdoor bar with
I like
everything
it.
except the high cost of beer.
I
What
like
kind of
this
beer
plan.
do you want
I
me to
bet
bring?
we could even get Doug from Sligo to come over and open our beers for us.
Well,
I bet
He could-
he'd love to do that.
or have him play his Spotify playlist because I
And
love
he
his
can play his
tunes.
playlist. So we're gonna wrap up pretty soon, but I wanted to ask you. You told me you've been listening to some live. You've been watching sort of older live concerts. Are you listening to any new music?
Well, yes, new-ish.
Okay.
I must say that I'm a lover. I'm an adopter of Spotify, and it's a great way to search. And folks, most people know how it works. You can go to the artist radio where you choose one artist and they play mostly or a lot of their songs, but other songs that people would like. And then there's the whole, if you like this, then you probably like this section. And they're pretty accurate about what I like. And sometimes new
Yeah.
stuff pops up. And then I'll go to their page and then I will find, layer upon layer of stuff, and I do discover that kind of thing. And
So who have you discovered recently?
well, let me go to my Spotify playlists, and
Please do. Please do. I'm
so
going to tell you while you're looking at that
I got it. Go ahead.
oh, yep. A dear friend, Sean McNally, who's a terrific promoter from the channel back in the day, terrific, said that that he stopped by Sligo last Saturday night and saw some of the crew and that it was great. So we should
Indoors
stop by
or
Sligo.
outdoors? Indoors
Outdoors.
or outdoors?
Outdoors. He
Do
says
they do it
outdoors, socially distanced.
front sidewalk or in the back parking lot?
I think they've set up, I don't know, Sean, if you're listening. I don't know. I thought that I saw tables out front, that they'd put up little tables out front, but definitely outside. I know I saw something on social media. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's all right.
Spotify playlist. You got a couple minutes to turn us on.
All right. So
new
a lot of
releases
these
from
bands,
old bands, new releases from new bands. What you got?
all that.
Okay.
I start with ones that I know I love. Medium. So Hungry, So Angry. He Said, which is the guys from Wire. Could You? Simple Minds, The American. Stereolab, French Disco was one that I knew about Stereolab, but not that song. Killing Joke, 80s. The Bowery Electric, a new discovery with Freedom Fighter. Sneaker Pimps, an old one. Spear of Destiny, who was Kirk Brandon, who was the guy from Theater of Hate, doing Never Take Me Alive. Department S, Going Left Right, Marianne Faithfull, Broken English. Dead Can Dance, American Dreamin'. Bowie, Stay, live from 2017. A new one for me, OTHA, I don't even know how to say it, Other, One of the Girls. Bleach from back in the day with Headless. No Joy, one that I recently discovered.
Yep.
Tamarin with Softcore, another new one. Magazine, The Light Pours Out of Me. Teardrop Explodes, Poppies in the Field. I could go on. The Fall, Crispy Ambulance.
This is great. I love actually, it's interesting because it's a widespread, but they sit in two different camps.
Kind of, yeah.
You've got kind of like your Wire Killing Joke thing going on over here, and then you've got kind of like your newer thing going on over here, and you got a little bit of like 80s shoegaze in there.
Yes.
I like it.
Gene Loves Jezebel.
Gene Loves Jezebel.
And Buffalo Springfield.
Oh, an outlier.
An outlier. I'm trying to learn for what it's worth and Mr. Soul. So that's why they're on there.
Both terrific songs. Bradley J. That hour just flew by.
Was that an hour?
That was an hour. How
Wow.
about that? You're remarkable. Your stories are just my favorite. We'll have to do it again because I feel like we were only just getting warmed up.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And that was terrific.
I'm serious about the recreation of the bar out in backyard bars. And please invite me to your backyard and we'll do it.
I will. And I bet we can get Sean McNally to join us as well.
Yeah.
And we'll listen to some new music. I want to hear new music always.
Okay.
Always. You know, the thing I miss, what I miss about Once Being Closed, the list is, it's more like a bucket. It's just a pool of things I miss. But
of course, for you are more tuned into the new music than I am because of your venue.
The new music. I miss the new music. I miss getting turned on to new bands. I miss it so much. I miss just walking through the ballroom and being like, oh, this is good. I think I'll buy their record. I miss it. I really do. So my hope for future music, the future of music, is that we'll all hunker down for a little while and then we'll go back to good old rock and roll.
In your brain, what is the little while in hunker down? A little while. What is in your brain for a little while? 3 months, 6 months?
October 21.
We all thought that we'd be back rocking by now, right?
No. But I didn't. I don't know. I don't know what I thought. I don't know what I thought. When we first closed, I thought we'd be open right away. But that's another conversation. We should save it.
Okay.
I think that it's a good conversation to have the future of live music. Bradley.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you in the backyard soon.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Take good care of yourself. See you soon.
You too.